hello and welcome to the show. If you want a big four-door, fairly comfortable saloon car that still has plenty of performance, there is a lot of options out there for you. You could go to Audi and their RS division. We have the very big RS7 here. You could go for the slightly smaller RS4 or the even smaller S3. Lots of choice within Audi. You could go to the BMW M division and get the M5, the sort of yardstick for all performance four-door vehicles. Or perhaps you like the slightly mental division of Mercedes with the AMG E63. There certainly is no lack of choice, and these are just the cars in Forza 5. I would love to see the Porsche Panamera and Aston Martin Rapide. Sadly, they aren't in 5, but there is a huge amount of choice for the performance four-door saloons, and there is a new one from Infiniti. It's called the Eau Rouge, and I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the name. Eau Rouge is one of the most daunting, one of the most challenging, one of the most recognisable sections of raceway. And if it was a name of a sports track-based car, some sort of lightweight Lotus, it wouldn't surprise me. But putting that name on, let's face it, a rather large saloon car does feel somewhat ostentatious, if I'm honest. It's also not my favourite looking of the saloons. It kind of looks as if they've left it out in the sun for just a little bit too long and it's started melting. It's a little bit weird looking. It's not ugly. It's not a horrible eyesore of a car. I think it looks better than the E63 AMG, but it's not quite for me. I do like the interior with the red highlights. I could imagine that might get a little bit annoying after a while because it is quite bright inside, but yeah, I do like the inside, but the outside doesn't quite do it for me, especially from the side. It looks a little bit odd. However, the question is, can it live up to its name when we take it to a racetrack? Of course, taking this to Spa would be a little bit too simplistic, so I decided to take it to Bathurst, another incredibly demanding race circuit. Let's look at some statistics, shall we? 0 to 60 in this car, 3.9 seconds. It'll do 100 in 8.2, go on to a top speed, 217 miles an hour. That's not just good for a four-door saloon, that's good for a supercar. That's Lamborghini, that's Ferrari, Porsche. That's damn fast. That's really very, very quick for a car of this size and this weight. I mean, it's not a lightweight vehicle. 3,800 pounds of car, and it will get to 100 miles an hour in 8.2 seconds. This is a seriously, seriously fast car when it comes to the straight line bits. It is helped, of course, by the fact that it is four-wheel drive, means it can get excellent launching, can get excellent drive out of the corners. It's also helped by having quite a lot of power, 560 horsepower to be precise. Yes, that is a lot, but it's not that much more than the BMWs and the Audis. In fact, it's less than the Mercedes, so I'm not quite sure how they've got this thing to be so phenomenally fast. It's 180 miles an hour through the chase there. That's scarily quick. In a saloon car, you could fit 5 people in this fairly comfortably, and it could do 180 through the chase. I was astounded by just how quick this car is in a straight line. When it gets to the corners, things get a little bit interesting. This is not a hard car to drive, on the most part. Because it's four-wheel drive, you can turn it into a corner and boot it out again with all 560 horsepower trying to go to the road, and it will grip and it will fire out to the other side very, very quickly. As a car to drive, it's not particularly hard. When you come to really push this around a racetrack, you do notice the weight. You do start to struggle with this vehicle. There is quite a lot of understeer. The brakes are pretty damn good for what it is, but they're not quite as sharp as perhaps I would like. It can be difficult to drive really, really hard, but as a car to drive normally, it's remarkably tame for such a powerful and such a quick vehicle. It's also rather cheap at merely 100,000 credits, which got me thinking. You see, in Forza 5, they give you the standard version of the car to play around with as well, and here it is going around Bathurst. And this costs 55,000 credits. So I wondered, could I build this car with the remaining money, the 45,000 credits, could I build it to go quicker than the Eau Rouge? So I set off. This vehicle that I'm driving has a turbocharger. It has street tyres, racing brakes, race suspension, race weight reduction, and a racing camshaft. Put all of those parts together, and the total cost for the vehicle you see here is 72,850 credits, considerably less than the Eau Rouge version, and a fair bit quicker, if I'm honest. This car weighs £1,000 less than the Eau Rouge, and while yes it has 60 less horsepower, by having so much less weight and much better brakes, much better suspension, better tyres, it can carry an awful lot more speed through the corners. But you know, it's not hugely surprising. I was surprised actually by how little money it took for me to make this car faster. Over a lap of Bathurst, the Eau Rouge did, I think I did 5 laps on each car. The Eau Rouge did a 2:19.9. The Q50 or whatever this thing is called did a 2:18.1. That's almost 2 seconds quicker, and it costs 25,000 credits less. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's not without its faults though. The standard car is rear-wheel drive, and I decided to keep it like that. This is not quite as easy to drive as the original, of course, because you're trying to put 500 horsepower onto the road through the rear wheels. You will slide it around. It doesn't launch as quickly. It doesn't fire itself out of the corners as well, and it will lose in a drag race. But because it weighs so much less, it can carry so much more corner speed that around the course of a lap, especially on a track like this that has a very technical sections at the top of the course, it is just outright quicker. So yeah, as I said, I'm really surprised just how much quicker this car was for less money. The vehicle here is a lower PI as well. It's lower than the Eau Rouge by about 15. So yeah, lightweight. Lightweight is very useful when it comes to this sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, the Eau Rouge is a very good car, and we are going to find out just how good by handing it over to our tame racing driver and seeing how quickly he can get it around the Top Gear test track. Of course, off the line, this thing is mighty. With lots of power and a 4-wheel drive system, it will propel it rather quickly up towards turn 1. As far as PI wise, this car is a lowish A-class, around 630 PI. To put that into context, it's roughly the same as a Mercedes SLR. The Lexus LFA we had a couple of weeks ago, it's more PI than the Corvette C7 Stingray and the TVR Sangres. I was interested to see where this car fitted in. While the game rates it very highly, and yes, it's very quick, in a straight line as we blast up towards the hammerhead, I didn't think it would necessarily be that fast around the track. I thought it would struggle with the understeer. You can boot it out of the corner like the hammerhead here. Our drivers getting it a little bit sideways. You can absolutely floor the throttle. You just can't do that with the other cars. They're so bumpy on the exit of the hammerhead there. Absolutely flat out in this car. This is where it struggles through the follow-through and past the tyres, because there is so much understeer at high-speed corners. I struggled at the corners at Bathurst, and driver would have struggled through there, up towards the second-to-last corner, and he's doing a good job of keeping all the understeer under control. There's a glowing brake disc on the front. It's around the final corner. He just is starting to understeer as it goes across the bump, and it is across the line. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the time for the Infiniti is a 1:18.674. It is quicker than a 300,000 credit Mercedes SLR. It is only fractionally off the Lexus LFA. That wasn't the outcome I expected. I mean, I know the game rates it quite highly. I really didn't think that would go around the track as good. That's really very impressive from the Infiniti. Yeah, I'm amazed by just how quickly that car got around the Top Gear track. It really is a very quick 4-door saloon car. As far as it goes, is this the best 4-door saloon car? Is this the new benchmark for them? I would say it probably is. It is so incredibly quick overall that the next BMWs, the next Audis, certainly got a tough time trying to beat this car. It has its flaws, it is quite understeery, it will take a while to get used to that, but if you can beat an SLR around a track, that's quite impressive, I have to say. Would I have this? Is this the 4-door saloon car of choice? For me, personally, no. It is incredibly good. It is probably the best one out there, but I wouldn't have it. Because, as quick as it is, it couldn't tempt me away from a Lotus Carlton. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. So, thank you very much for watching. And until next time, Goodbye.